We thought to bring you somewhat of a long-term review of our 23 Zero Walkabout 62 rooftop tent and how it's been holding up for the last year and a half. So we've had this tent approximately about a year and a half or so and have logged about 35 nights consistently throughout the course of that period. And we wanted to kind of go over some of the shortcomings that we've found with using this tent for that long period of time. The ladder has actually been pretty good. It's actually one of the best ladders on the market for the fact that it can actually lock at half a pole length. So for example, where it's at right now, as far as the length between this step and this step, it actually locks itself, so I can't even bring it down anymore. Other ladders have to actually be all the way to the top, somewhat like this, in order for it to lock. That's okay, but for finer adjustments, this thing can actually do half locks, which we really like. Another thing that we've come to appreciate, and this is one of the many accessories that 23 Zero has been releasing over the course of the last year or so, is these little foot pads. We all know that the steps on ladders of rooftop tents can get a little sharp, a little uncomfortable at times. So thankfully they released some of these little foam paddings, and you guys can kind of see that they've labeled them to kind of set the tone for camping out here. But they're very comfortable. Another thing that we've purchased alongside the rooftop tent has been these little boot bags. Now, I'm not gonna lie, some companies, they actually include boot bags. We actually had to purchase our own separately. I get it, you know, 23 Zero is trying to make something that's affordable to everybody without you guys having to pay a premium for other accessories such as this. But you know, it's one of those things that, you know, how much more could this have cost to include this with the purchase of a rooftop tent? But we don't mind it so much. You know, they're not crazily, you know, expensive as far as acquiring them, so we just decided to pull the trigger on them. Another feature that we really like about this rooftop tent, guys, and you guys can kind of see, is 23 Zero's LST technology. And LST stands for light suppression technology, which just means that the inner coating of the entire tent is a black material, and this kind of helps to mitigate light, so that way you're comfortable even during, you know, midday. You can literally close all the windows and it's pitch black in that tent. We've actually have it configured to the maximum airflow of the tent. So for example, this is one of the only rooftop tents that can actually fold up the front flaps of the windows the way that you see them. Usually rooftop tents only are limited to the actual tent or the window poles to hold down that flap, you know, for rain coverage and all that good stuff. We actually also took off the rain fly for this trip because there's no rain, and that gives us access to the skylights that are up there on the tent. So again, this configuration will be great for low noise during the day, especially out here that it's a little windy, and also maximum airflow, so that we get airflow inside of the tent going through it and all that good stuff. Now let's get to some of the cons of this rooftop tent. Some of the cons that we've experienced with this tent, guys, has been the actual seam tape. After about 6 months or so, the seam tape started coming off of our tent. Now we did approach 23 Zero with this issue, and their answer was to send us a new rooftop tent because it turns out that was a manufacturer defect. The seam tape isn't supposed to peel off within the first year of owning the rooftop tent or anything like that. So that was one of the biggest issues that we had with this tent. Now again, that could have been a fluke. I'm glad that 23 Zero was gracious enough and had the, you know, really outstanding customer service to actually offer us a replacement for that defect. Another thing we've come to dislike somewhat is the setup time, but then again, that goes, you know, hand in hand with every soft shell rooftop tent out there in the market. It's gonna take you a little bit, guys, especially depending on where you have it mounted. One of the things we also didn't like, guys, was the fact that 23 Zero does not offer some sort of aluminum diamond plate for the back or for the bottom of the tent itself. This is still just honeycomb aluminum, which is great, but you guys can kind of see even the ladder has started to wear down on the honeycomb aluminum. It's just extremely weak, whereas other companies such as CVT and Tepui have actually integrated diamond plate aluminum for the base for that very reason, to make sure that it's extremely reliable and durable to withstand, you know, camp life and overland demands and all that type of thing, or wear and tear on these things. So that's one of the things I wish 230 would do with their tents, is actually offer or provide you with an aluminum underside. Now real quick guys, I love the color of this thing. I'm really glad that 230 chose the olive drab color for this tent. It actually flows really, really well. I'm glad it's not just a weird orange color or some sort of a bright color. It also helps with the light suppression of the tent, along with that black liner. Now if you guys will follow me, I'm going to show you guys some of the interior aspects of the tent itself. So actually, here we go. I'm going to put my shoes in here, and I'm hoping you guys can kind of see this. But again, the liner of the tent itself is black. So closing all the windows up, there is very, very, very little light that actually comes in here, which is great. And 230 has given us probably one of the best and most comfortable mattresses on the market. I always forget what the proper name for this mattress is, but it's some sort of high density foam that works extremely, extremely well. If you're a side sleeper, this mattress is the one for you. A lot of other companies actually go with just a good old 2-inch mattress, which is fine for some folks, but for us, it just wasn't enough. There wasn't enough cushion. So I'll give 230 that. This definitely has one of the best mattresses on the market. Alongside that, I know other companies are offering LED lights that are already integrated with their tent. I wish 230 would do that. Now granted, I've been using these little hardcore lights for light in here, and adding a light in here isn't the, you know, a huge challenge. So it's not one of those things that is a deal breaker for me. All right guys, so again, we love this black liner. We love the mattress of the tent. There's not a lot of cons to this thing, aside for some of the things I've mentioned previously, but those are cons related to every single soft shell rooftop tent. But I wanted to show you guys this. This is the type of view that you would get from having a rooftop tent mounted on top of your vehicle. Check that out. It's really something, isn't it? And again, this is the type of view that we wake up to, that we go to sleep to almost every day when we're out here. But for the most part, this Walkabout 62 has been extremely comfortable for me, my wife, and our little toddler. So if you're considering what size tent to get, the 62 is actually extremely comfortable for 2 adults and a kid. Now obviously you can just do 2 adults and you'll be extremely comfortable. You'll have all of your bags and whatnot, and you'll have plenty of space. If you have a bigger family, obviously look at the bigger options, or the bigger sizes like the 72, and that'll fit your family just fine. But yeah, if you guys have any further questions about this tent, this has been somewhat of a longer, you know, long-term review, and we look forward to making more of these long-term reviews. We wanted to take our time as far as providing the viewers at home with our opinions on certain products, because we want to vet them and we want to be as honest as possible. And in no way, shape, or form are we being sponsored by these companies to make these reviews, guys. This is completely, you know, just off the cuff consumer reviews of these products, you know. So we have absolutely nothing to lose with talking about certain aspects of the tents that we do not like. But for the most part, like I said, the 230 Walkabout 62, there's a lot of pros, certain cons, but none of those are deal breakers. Would we recommend this tent? Absolutely. 230 has some of the best customer service around, and as long as they're willing to admit to their faults and correct their mistakes as far as manufacturing of these tents go, we're all for this company. So again, no regrets. Definitely recommend this tent.